And good morning and good afternoon, everybody. My name is Danny Lee, Marketing Manager for Lumeta. Welcome to our monthly webinar. Today's topic is gaining critical visibility through the clouds. Just a few things before we start today, just a couple of logistics and housekeeping. So if you have any questions during the course of the webinar, please feel free to enter them in the dialog box entitled Questions in the bottom right-hand corner, and we'll try to get to them at the end of the webinar. If we do not happen to get to your question at the end of the webinar, we'll be more than happy to get to them via email after our webinar or during the week. So that being said, I'd like to introduce our speakers for today. We have Reggie Best, our Chief Product Officer. Reggie has more than 25 years of experience in communications, networking, and IT security, and he has been at Bell Labs, the R&D arm of AT&T. We also have Joe Sorial. Joe is our Director of Product Management. Joe has more than 13 years of experience in product management with companies such as SiriusXM, Hawk Technologies, Quench, and Motorola. So that being said, I'm going to throw it over to Reggie, and off we go. Reggie?
Thanks, Danny. As Danny mentioned, my name is Reggie Best, and I'm the Chief Product Officer here at Lumeta. Today, I'm going to discuss the rapid growth of cloud services, and especially infrastructure as a service public cloud for rapid deployment and expansion of compute capabilities within enterprises. Along with that growth, however, there exists some important security, trust, and visibility challenges that Lumeta is helping its customers tackle in the areas of cloud situational awareness. Afterwards, I'm going to ask my colleague, Joe Sorial, to show a live scenario of Lumeta's Enterprise Situational Intelligence Services, which can be used to help your cloud operations, network operations, and security operations teams kind of get their arms around existing or planned deployments of public, private, and hybrid cloud services. According to Gartner research, the global market for public cloud services reached $130 billion in 2013. Bear in mind that word public. The data does not include any private cloud infrastructure, just public. Overall, the public cloud market is expected to grow at a 17% compounded annually rate for the next 3 years. And the fastest growing segment of the market is for public infrastructure as a service, or IaaS offerings, where organizations can supplement their internal data center resources with compute, memory, storage, bandwidth to run corporate-facing applications. That IaaS portion of the overall market grew at 3 times the average, a very significant 50% growth to $9 billion in 2013, up from $6 billion in 2012. Public infrastructure as a service providers include Amazon Web Services, VMware, vCloud Hybrid Service, Microsoft Azure, Verizon, Terramar, among others. There are several proven benefits to enterprises adopting public cloud services. There's less internal investment needed in hardware and space. There's quicker and more cost-efficient scaling to add compute capacity. The possible advantage of taking advantage of self-service capabilities inside a business unit without needing a special IT support engagements. And of course, there are disaster recovery as well as business continuity benefits. However, despite the significant benefits of public cloud infrastructure as a service, there remain some very, very critical concerns. In an Information Week Cloud Security and Risk Survey conducted last year, in June 2013, the most significant cloud concerns, as cited by at least 45% of the respondents, were, number one, worries about security defects in the cloud technology itself. Number two, unauthorized access to or leaking of proprietary information from the public cloud services. And number 3, unauthorized access to or leaking of customers' information from public cloud services. As a result of those concerns, only 24% of respondents, these are enterprises, said that they would allow sensitive data to reside on the public cloud. And 36% indicated that they would not allow any sensitive data at all to reside on a public cloud. The problem is that with the flexibility, decentralized control, and rapid ability to turn up and turn down compute capabilities, how can an organization gain enough visibility into what's going on in that public cloud infrastructure to implement policy? Let's take a look at one example. A very common use of public infrastructure as a service cloud is for application software or services development, web development, and testing. In many organizations, there's a systems administrator from the web or application development and testing team who are managing their own public cloud instance. They arrange for virtual private network access between the public cloud and the private enterprise infrastructure, and they use that to move code and data back and forth. This is effectively creating a hybrid cloud in which the company's intellectual property, code, test plans, results, etc., is stored in the public cloud. Oftentimes, the network and security operations teams have limited or no visibility into what's going on in the public cloud part of that infrastructure. They don't know what's running. They don't know for how long. They don't know when it stopped running or if it stopped running. Nor do the network or security operations teams have any sense of whether a virtual machine in the public cloud is changing the network or the network topology in a way that might be disturbing or disconcerting. For example, is there a router, a forwarder, a firewall, some other network device that's installed in a temporal virtual machine that has provided access for short periods of time even to another network or to the public internet? Despite the fact that there are very key flexibility and speed, efficiency benefits to web or application development team having public cloud infrastructure, the team who's responsible for network and security and the protection of the critical enterprise assets have no visibility despite being responsible still for the protection of the enterprise from the loss of intellectual property assets in this case. Another concern in this particular use case may be the adherence of the public cloud service provider to service level agreements and assuring that there really is segmentation of the public cloud instance that the organization has leased from others that are in the shared environment. How do you know that there isn't any overlapping of connections between your instance and another organization's instance in that shared environment? So what's really needed to address the security concerns of this particular use case scenario? Lumeta offers a real-time situational awareness capability that works across the cloud as well as physical infrastructure. The solution needs to monitor and notify of newly connected virtual machines, performing virtual machine asset management, and it needs to notify of previously unmanaged network assets that are showing up in the cloud. It needs to detect changes that are caused by the virtual machines in near real time to network topology, and it needs to flag potential network vulnerabilities or network policy violations, such as connections that might have occurred to an undesirable network. Events that violate such policies need to be reported into an existing SIM or other tools that are used in the Network Operations Center or the Security Operations Center, in addition to reporting and visualization directly from the platform itself. So to now show how Lumeta would address this particular scenario, we would install virtual sensors in the public cloud instance that would report telemetry back into the Security Operations Center in this particular case, or SOC. Any new virtual devices, which are virtual servers, are identified in that public cloud instance in less than 1 minute. If there's ever a change that's caused by a virtual machine to layer 3 network topology, those changes can be flagged typically within less than 5 minutes. And if a network segmentation policy is violated, for example, if there's a desire to know if any VMs that are running have or are allowing direct access to the internet, and that's a policy violation, those policies and violations can be alerted to the Security Operations Center as they're detected in near real time. Also, if someone should halt or stop the Lumeta sensor virtual machine, that would also generate a policy violation. These are all very critical aspects of how the network operations and security operations and cloud operations teams can get control and get visibility over what's going on in a myriad of public cloud services that might be in use throughout the organization. Now, to give an interactive view of how this would work on an actual cloud environment here that we use at Lumeta, I'd like to turn the discussion over to my colleague, Joe Sorio.
Thanks, Reggie. So as Reggie mentioned a few moments ago, having that real-time visibility into what's going on in the cloud is really, really important. This information is important because the guys in the SOC or the NOC who are typically keeping an eye on things aren't always the same guys that are responsible for spinning up, spinning down virtual assets. But they are the same guys that are responsible for raising a flag when problems occur. So being able to identify that a virtual machine has just joined the network is very, very important. And Lumeta ESI does this in near real time, as we'll demonstrate in a minute or two. So identifying virtual machines and knowing when they're live is great. But the next step is to determine if and how this new virtual infrastructure or this virtual machine is changing the network topology, and then quickly deciding whether or not this new VM is introducing security risks to the network. And getting this information via alerts and notifications is great, but seeing a network topology and how it's changing in real time gives us much needed context and puts things really in perspective. So let's chat about the demo architecture for a minute. We have a Lumeta SOC that's currently hosting the Lumeta ESI Command Center. And the Lumeta ESI Command Center is the command and control module. It's also the reporting and analytics module. And this is primarily the dashboard we'll be looking at as part of the demo. I also have 2 sensors that are performing real-time discovery. One is sitting inside the Lumeta network, and it's doing discovery of the on-prem network. And the other one is sitting in our VMware-hosted infrastructure. And that's looking into our cloud network and telling us what's going on there. And then these 2 sensors are communicating back to the command center where the analytics and data aggregation is happening. So this is the basis for the demo we're going to look at. So I'm going to switch over and give you a quick walkthrough of Lumeta ESI. So we're looking at the ESI dashboard now, and here are the 2 zones that I mentioned. There's Lumeta, and then there's also VMware. And these zones are currently represented using the Lumeta Network Index. You'll hear us refer to it generally as the LNI, just to make it short and to add acronyms. So the LNI is a quick way of scoring the health of the network and allows users to quickly drill down into problem areas and get determine which devices are causing things to maybe go out of whack as the network is changing. I won't spend too much time here on the LNI, but please feel free to reach out to Reggie, Danny, or myself if you have any questions about the LNI, how it works, and what anomalies we track. Where we are going to focus, though, is on the notifications panel And this is where the real-time activity gets communicated back to the user. So as the network is changing, as topology is changing, as devices are joining the network or leaving the network, we're getting real-time notifications about these events. And they are configurable by zone, by user, and by types of events that are of interest so that you're not flooded or inundated with a lot of notifications. So what I'm going to go and do next is go to my VMware hybrid cloud, and pardon me while I log in, and turn up some devices and show you ESI in action, so to speak. So here's a bunch of virtual machines that we have in our VMware infrastructure, and I'm going to go ahead and turn a couple up right now. The first one I turned up is basically just a plain old virtual machine that's running CentOS. And the other device, which is a little bit more interesting, is a VIOS router. So it's actually virtual, it's routing infrastructure in a vApp that is going to change my topology, and ESI is going to detect this. So we go back to the control panel, and we could see that basically by the time I switch back, we have ESI detecting that a device just became active on the vCloud zone. And as ESI is sitting there passive listening and also doing the active scanning, we'll see as more and more devices are joining the network. So we have one device that became active. We have device that a bunch of devices that actually were created. One already was profiled as a forwarder. So very, very quickly, we're able to see that these notifications are getting to the guys that need to know the most. And also, we're able to show these changes on a network map. So if I click through to my map, we can see this device that's bouncing. It's letting me know that, hey, I'm new here. You may want to take a look at me and make sure that I belong here. So I'm going to go ahead and save my map and say, sure, you belong here. And then finally, all these notifications are great to have in ESI, but some folks may want to pump these notifications out to a SIM, for example. ESI allows you, gives you the ability to push notifications and syslog messages out via common event format. So as you can see here, I have ESI connected to Splunk, and we're ingesting the real-time notifications and messages as they come out of ESI. So that pretty much does it for the demos. Let me kick it back to Danny and open it up to Q&A.
Great, thanks, Joe. And just a reminder, if you have any questions, please feel free to type them into the dialog box, and we'll get to as many as we can. I got a couple here in front of me, so let's get started. So here's one. Joe, what is the starting price point for a Lumeta Cloud situational awareness solution?
So we have lots of tiers. We can scale up from 1,000 IP addresses all the way up to hundreds of thousands, even 1 million IP addresses. Starting price for 1,000 IP addresses is less than $600 a month.
Okay, great. Thanks, Joe. Here's another one. What cloud environments can Lumeta's product work with?
Good question. So we're primarily VMware at the moment. We support ESXi, vSphere, vCenter Private Cloud, and VCHS Public Cloud. Amazon Web Services is coming very, very soon, okay, with the same level of functionality that you saw here as part of this demo.
Great, thank you. And here is one more. Can SIM tools in the SOC utilize the output from Lumeta to alert cloud policy violations?
Good question. I guess I stole someone's thunder there by showing Splunk. So ESI supports common event format, so any SIM or any networking or security device that can consume common event format, we can push syslog notifications out that way. We also have a robust set of APIs for custom integrations or for devices that aren't common event format friendly.
Okay, great. Reggie, any more comments?
No, I mean, hopefully this was a useful, quick overview of Lumeta and some of our, real-time situational awareness capabilities that are intended to help the operations team, security operations, network operations, cloud operations within an organization, get better visibility and control over kind of a train that's left the station. There's no doubt that infrastructure as a service cloud offerings are happening and they're being consumed by enterprises for very good and valid reasons. There are huge benefits. We think that this offering allows the teams who are responsible for protecting critical assets and data of the organization to begin to get some more visibility and control over what's happening inside their organizations anyway. I mean, ignorance and putting your head in the sand is not bliss. And here's a way to get needed visibility into hybrid and public cloud infrastructures.
Great, thanks, Reg. So on that note, we're going to end the webinar for today. Just one kind of final note. We do have an upcoming webinar on May 1st, as you can see on your screen. It will be a joint webinar with us and Tripwire. The title of it is Ignorance is Breach, Prepare Your Organization. It is going to be on Thursday, May 1st at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. All of you that have been on the call today will be receiving an official invite probably later this week, but just wanted to kind of make that aware to all of you. And on that note, I will end the call, and everybody have a great day. Thank you for joining.